Some places are just so scary, I would never want to go there based on a photo alone. Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Emily and today we're counting down our list of the top 10 haunting images from places you would never dare enter. So beware, if you ever dare to go here, it is very, very haunted. Coming in at number 10 is the Enfield Poltergeist. The Enfield Poltergeist was a claim of supernatural activity in Enfield, London between 1977 and 1979. The poltergeist activity centered around two young sisters, Janet and Margaret Hodgson. In August 1977, single-parent Peggy Hodgson called the Metropolitan Police to her rented home claiming she had witnessed furniture moving and that two of her four children had heard knocking sounds on the walls. Later claims included disembodied voices, loud noises, thrown toys, overturned chairs, and children levitating. Over a period of 18 months, more than 30 people, including the Hodgson's neighbors, paranormal investigators, and journalists, said they variously saw heavy furniture moving of its own accord, objects being thrown across a room, and the sisters seeming to levitate several feet off the ground. Now, many had also heard and recorded knocking noises and a gruff voice. Janet would often go into a trance-like state where she would speak in a deep, scratchy voice, claiming to be the ghost of a man named Bill Wilkins, who had died in the house years before. Now, one of the interactions of Janet levitating was caught on camera, as this photo shows. Supporting the family's claims were two witnesses, a baker and a lollipop lady, who were passing by outside and claimed to have seen Janet hovering above her bed as they looked through an upstairs window, and hearing that, I would not want to step foot in that house. Number 9. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall is a ghost that reportedly haunts Raynham Hall in Norfolk, England. It became one of the most famous hauntings in the United Kingdom when photographers from Country Life magazine claimed to have captured its image. According to the legend, the Brown Lady is the ghost of Dorothy Walpole, the sister of Robert Walpole, generally regarded as the first Prime Minister of Great Britain. She was the second wife of Charles Townshend, who was notorious for his violent temper. The story goes that when Charles discovered his wife had committed adultery with Lord Wharton, he punished her by locking her into rooms in her family home, Raynham Hall. According to Mary Wortley Montagu, Dorothy was entrapped by the Countess of Wharton. She invited Dorothy over to stay for a few days, knowing that her husband would never allow her to leave, not even to see her children. She remained at Raynham Hall until her death in 1726 from smallpox. This is just an extremely sad story, and I can't imagine her pain. And the first sighting of the Brown Lady was in 1835, and the photograph was taken in 1936. Number 8. The Amityville House. One of the most famous haunted houses in the United States is the Dutch Colonial House at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. Now, the haunting stems from the night of November 13th, 1974, when 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo shot and ended the lives of all 6 members of his family. He was then arrested, convicted, and given 6 concurrent life sentences. In December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, moved into the house and claimed that spooky things were happening. For example, George would wake up at 3:15 every morning, which was approximately the time that Ronald had attacked his family. Kathy said she would feel a ghostly presence and be embraced by it. All of this and more caused the family to flee in fear after only staying in the house for 28 days. Due to this, demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren visited the house and set up time-lapse infrared cameras and caught this photo. Believers of the haunting think the photo is the ghost of the youngest Defoe son, John Matthew, who was 9 at the time of the death. Number 7. Murphy's Hole. In 2014, Kim Davidson was swimming in a lake with a friend and their combined 3 children. They went to Murphy's Hole in Lockyer River in Queensland, Australia. While there, they took a photograph. Normal, right? Well, when the photograph came out, there was a ghostly figure of a girl behind the group who looked like she was leering behind the family. They said that nothing was in between them when the photo was taken. On closely examining the image, they realized it was a white face with dark eyes and 2 horns on either side of the head. Kim posted it on Facebook, and upon seeing the image, many comments were made, and some said that the 2 horns looked like 2 ponytails or buns. Now, a fellow user then shared the story of Doreen O'Sullivan, a girl who accidentally drowned in the same creek in the same spot in 1913. Her obituary was found in the Brisbane Courier dated November 22nd, 1913. Now the spot, which has always been considered dangerous, is known as Murphy's Hole, and it is over 20 feet deep. Now upon reading this, Kim recollected that they had experienced strange things that day when they were swimming in the water. She felt someone's presence behind her, but she ignored it. Twice someone in the water even grabbed her eldest daughter's leg. By looking at the photo, she was convinced that the unknown face was that of Doreen. Now Kim got two paranormal experts to check the picture, and after investigating the photograph carefully, they concluded that the shape of the image was that of a child. Number 6. The Stanley Hotel. The Stanley Hotel is a 140-room colonial revival hotel about 5 miles from the entrance to Rocky Mountain National Park. It was built by Freeland Oscar Stanley and opened on July 4th, 1909. Now the Stanley Hotel inspired the Overlook Hotel in Stephen King's 1977 best-selling novel, The Shining. Now in the years following the publication of The Shining, the Stanley Hotel gained a reputation as a setting for its paranormal activity. As you can see in this photo, a spirit was caught on camera on the main staircase of the hotel. Now Stanley died in 1940, but many believe his presence can still be seen and felt at the hotel, mainly at the bar and in the billiard room. The ghost of his wife Flora has a habit for tinkering around on the hotel's piano, according to multiple accounts. The 4th floor is the most haunted, with guests hearing children's laughter in the halls with no one to be found. Down the hall in room 407, multiple guests have reported being tucked into bed by some invisible force, and others have felt it sit on the foot of the bed only to find nothing there. In room 428, some have seen the vision of a cowboy looming over the bed as they slept, or standing in the corner. Number 5. Cursed Mirror at Myrtles Plantation. A historic home and former plantation, the Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana, is considered one of America's most haunted places. The plantation house is rumored to be on top of an ancient tunica Indian burial ground, which is just like, duh, of course it's haunted. It is the home of at least 12 ghosts, and it's often reported that 10 people had their lives ended in that house. There are many creepy legends surrounding the property, and the tale of the cursed mirror is one of the most famous. According to the legend, the former owner of the house, Sarah Woodruff, and her 2 daughters were poisoned by their slave and are trapped inside the mirror. Visitors of the house report seeing handprints, strange marks, and even figures dressed in old-fashioned clothes lurking in the mirror. Number 4. The Conjuring House. Now this is just a normal photo of the outside of the Conjuring House, but it is terrifying. Now originally called the Arnold Estate, this house came filled with horrors. In January 1971, the Perron family, Roger, Carolyn, and their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April, moved into the farmhouse. Not long after moving in, the family reportedly experienced all matters of paranormal activity, from apparitions to physical attacks by unseen hands. The most frequent apparition was that of a woman with a broken neck who became popularized as Bathsheba Sherman. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren inserted themselves into the family's alleged experiences, making the case famous via their lectures and eventually the Conjuring film. The Perron family claimed that paranormal experiences went on for almost 10 years until the family had abandoned the house in 1980. Today you can do tours at the house where guests report being touched and hearing voices, including one that will often warn guests to get out of the basement if there is a malevolent spirit around. Number 3. Paris Catacombs. In the 18th century, amidst a public health crisis relating to the city's cemeteries, authorities decided to relocate the cemetery's remains to an abandoned quarry. This effort created the meticulously arranged Paris Catacombs, lined with bones that hold the remains of more than 6 million people. As one visits the catacombs, a sign above reads "Arrête, c'est ici l'Empire de la Mort," aka "Stop, this is the Empire of Death." It's also called Barrière d'Enfer, aka the Gate of Hell. Now there are 200 miles of catacombs, which are all regarded by many people to be the portal to hell. Now there are plenty of urban legends and ghost stories lurking in the skeletal maze. These include a group of explorers finding a video camera left on the ground in the early 1990s. From the video, they could tell the man holding the camera was lost and had no idea how to escape, and the man was going mad in the underground network of the tunnels. To this day, no one knows who he was or if he managed to get out alive. Also, you can't be in there after midnight because that's when the walls begin to speak. It's said disembodied voices will try to persuade you to venture even deeper into the catacombs until you can't find your way out again. I mean, just looking at this normal photo of it, it's creepy, and why anyone would want to go down there is beyond me. Number 2. Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. The Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, located in West Virginia, was constructed between 1858 and 1881. It was designed by the renowned architect Richard Andrews following the Kirkbride plan, which called for long rambling wings arranged in staggered formation, assuring that each of the connecting structures received an abundance of therapeutic sunlight and fresh air. In this photo, you can see patients huddled up and looking disheveled. The original hospital, designed to house 250 people, was open to patients in 1864 and reached its peak in the 1950s with 2,400 patients in overcrowded and generally poor conditions. It closed in 1994 after 400 to 500 people died there. They performed over 4,000 lobotomies, which left some healthy patients with brain damage and hemorrhages. Legends say that you may see or hear one of these patients or see one of their common ghosts named Lily. She was one of the patients from the Civil War era that died from pneumonia at the age of 9. Witnesses say if you step in her playroom, you can hear her cries and laughs. There's also the ghost of Dean, the patient who met his unfortunate demise at the wrong end of the bed frame and has been known to spend time in the room where he died. And coming at number 1 is the Ancient Ram Inn. The Ancient Ram Inn, found in Watton-under-Edge, England, is a 12th century inn and one of the oldest in the Western world. It is believed to have once been a pagan burial ground and is now haunted by more than 20 spirits. Perhaps the most famous is a witch that was burned at the stake in the area during the 1500s at the height of witch hunting. The woman fled from potential trial by government-sanctioned witch hunters and took refuge in the Ancient Ram Inn. She was soon captured and burned at the stake. Now, the room where she hid has been dubbed the Witch's Room, and her spirit is believed to be haunting it to this day. There are also stories of spirits of people used in human sacrifices, exorcisms, and other dark haunting events that took place. Orbs of these spirits have been photographed, and the place has been investigated by many paranormal researchers, particularly for the television shows like Ghost Adventures and Most Haunted. But as you can see, this place is really creepy. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 haunting images from places you would never dare enter. Have you ever been to any of these places? Let us know in the comments down below, and hey, don't forget to like and subscribe while you're down there. I'm your host Emily, and we'll see you next time. Peace.